Most guys are clueless about the silent storm that brews in a woman's mind when she senses his interest has vanished. They think she just shrugs, moves on, and replaces him like it's nothing. But that's not the full story. When the attention she once received, without effort, suddenly disappears, it doesn't go unnoticed. It hits her hard. What used to be routine, his text, his energy, his chase, suddenly becomes the thing she fixates on. In today's dating world, attention is everything. It's the new form of validation, and many women are used to being at the center of it. But when a man walks away without explanation or drama, just pure silence, it creates a shift. That silence screams louder than any argument. Her confidence begins to crack and doubt creeps in. Is he done with me? Did he find someone better? Why isn't he reaching out? Now, she's the one searching for answers. But this is where most men get it wrong. They try to fake detachment. They act cold, hoping to spark her curiosity. But women are intuitive. They know when it's just a tactic. Real disinterest can't be faked. It's when you've genuinely moved on. When you stop checking her updates, stop reaching out, stop caring. That's when she truly feels the shift. In this video, we'll break down exactly what happens in her mind when she realizes you're no longer chasing. From the internal panic to the surprising way she starts behaving, you'll get a deep look into her psychology and how you can stay grounded, composed, and in control. This is the truth most men never learn, the game-changing insight that flips everything. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. She gets confused. When a woman first realizes you've lost interest, the very first thing she feels isn't sadness, it's confusion. She's used to men showing consistency when they want her. She's used to the double texts, the eager replies, the compliments, the energy. So when that energy vanishes, she doesn't immediately assume you're done with her. She assumes something is off, but she doesn't know what yet. She replays old conversations in her mind, checks her messages, scrolls through your social media, and looks for signs that explain why the vibe changed. This confusion starts to eat at her, not because she's madly in love, but because her ego is no longer being fed. You are part of her validation system, and now that system is broken. She starts asking herself questions she never had to consider before. Why did he stop texting first? Why hasn't he watched my story? Is he losing interest in me, or is he just busy? That uncertainty bothers her more than the idea of losing you itself. Here's what most guys don't understand. When you become unpredictable in your silence, her brain works overtime to figure you out. And during that process, she can't help but think about you. A woman who once ignored your calls might now find herself pausing when your name comes up. She starts wondering if you're okay. She thinks about what she did to cause the shift, even if she pretends like nothing's happening on the outside. This confusion is not always visible. She might still post selfies, still act normal, still show up to events like she doesn't care. But internally, her mind is fogged with one dominant thought. Why isn't he acting like he used to? The moment that question enters her head, you've created a psychological imbalance, and that imbalance gives you power. The key here is not to fake this reaction. Real disinterest creates real confusion. If you try to pretend if you're watching her every move while staying silent, she'll sense the performance. But if your energy has genuinely moved away from her, she'll pick up on it. She'll feel the disconnect. She'll question herself. And in doing so, she'll start to remember all the things you used to do. She'll realize how consistent you were and now you're not. That gap between past you and current you makes her uncomfortable. Confusion isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's hidden behind makeup and Instagram filters. But it's there, and it's the first crack in her wall. Because before a woman can miss you, before she can regret losing you, before she can chase you, she must first feel confused by you. That's where it begins. Sign number 2. She tries to trigger you. After the confusion sets in, a woman's next move is often an emotional test. When she doesn't understand why you've pulled back, she won't always come forward and ask directly. That would require vulnerability, and most women avoid that unless they feel safe. Instead, she starts trying to get a reaction out of you. It's her way of checking if you still care without having to expose herself emotionally. This is when the subtle games begin. Not because she's evil or manipulative, but because she's trying to confirm where she stands in your mind. You'll notice changes. Maybe she starts posting more often. Suddenly, she's at the gym, at a party, smiling with other men, or putting up suggestive captions she never used to. She's not doing that for the general public. She's doing it for you. She wants you to see it. She wants you to feel something. And most importantly, she wants you to act on it. She wants you to break the silence. She wants you to question her. She wants to remind you that she still has the power to get under your skin. What she's really doing here is trying to provoke you emotionally so she can measure your level of interest. If you take the bait and respond with jealousy, frustration, or attention, she gets her answer. You still care. And in her mind, she wins because the woman who can still make you react is the woman who still controls you. That's the game, even if it's unspoken. This is why most men lose ground at this stage. They see her posting with another guy and feel pressured to re-engage, to stake their claim. They feel tempted to send a message, react to a story, or make a move just to remind her they're still around. But that's exactly what she wants. It confirms to her that your silence wasn't strength. It was strategy. And when she knows it's a game, she can play it better than you ever will. But when your disinterest is real, you won't bite. You'll see the bait and walk past it like it never existed. Not because you're bitter or trying to punish her, but because you've actually stopped caring enough to react. That's when her confidence starts to crack. Because now, not only are you not giving her attention, you're also not giving her any emotional proof that she still matters to you. That emotional silence is louder than anything you could say. It's deafening to a woman who's used to making men react. At this point, she may even push harder. She might reach out indirectly, bring up your name in conversation with mutual friends, or test you with something petty just to see if you'll snap. Don't. The more silent and unaffected you remain, the louder her efforts will get. Because once a woman realizes she can't trigger you anymore, the game changes. Sign number 3, she gets defensive. When her attempts to trigger you fail and she starts seeing that your silence isn't a tactic but a shift in how you actually feel, something inside her tightens up. She gets defensive. And this isn't the kind of defense that comes with anger right away. It starts subtle, almost quiet, but it builds fast. She begins protecting her pride, her ego, and the image she holds of herself as the one in control. Because up until now, she believed she had the upper hand. She believed you'd always be available. But now your disinterest has challenged that belief. She can't figure out why you're no longer reacting, why you're not chasing, why you're not validating her anymore. So instead of reflecting on her own behavior, she starts rewriting the story in her head to make herself feel better. He was too emotional. He was never really my type anyway. He's probably doing this just to get my attention. She has to create a version of the situation where she's still the one in control, even if that version isn't real. This defensiveness will often show up in her attitude. She may start acting colder if she runs into you. She might throw shade indirectly, make sarcastic comments, or speak negatively about you to mutual friends. None of this is random. It's a way to protect her pride. She doesn't want people to think you rejected her or that she's bothered by your absence. So she takes the first shot, hoping to frame the narrative. But the truth is that reaction is a mask for her discomfort. Some women won't show it externally. Instead, they'll become passive-aggressive. You might notice she stops watching your stories or liking your posts, not because she's moved on, but because she wants you to notice that she's pulling back now. It's a silent battle for emotional leverage. She's trying to reclaim the power by pretending she's the one who no longer cares, but deep down she does. The reason she's being defensive is because your detachment has hit a nerve. What she's really defending is her ego. You walking away without giving her closure, without drama, without begging, threatens her belief in her own desirability. It challenges her view of herself as someone no man can lose interest in. That's the part she can't accept. So, she puts up emotional walls to deal with it. The longer you remain indifferent, the more those walls start to crumble internally, even if she keeps up a strong front. A woman only gets defensive when she feels something slipping. Indifference is the most dangerous weapon a man can hold when it's real. And if she senses that nothing she does will shake you, she'll keep trying to protect herself from the truth that you're not under her spell anymore. And once she knows you don't care, she's left with one question that eats at her. What does he have now that made him stop wanting me? Sign number 4, she plays the victim. When her defensiveness no longer protects her ego and your silence remains steady, she shifts again. This time she tries a different angle. She plays the victim. This isn't always an act of pure manipulation. Sometimes it's a reflex, a last attempt to regain emotional control by shifting the focus. If she can't get you back through seduction, attention, or argument, then maybe guilt will pull you in. Maybe if she paints herself as the one who was hurt, abandoned, or misunderstood, you'll come running with sympathy. That's the silent hope behind this move. Suddenly, she becomes the one who tried her best. She'll start telling her friends that she gave her all, that you changed, that you weren't consistent, or that you stopped caring for no reason. She needs someone to validate her new story, even if it's far from the truth. Because here's the reality. When a woman loses power, she rarely admits it, she rewrites the story so it doesn't look like a loss. That's why she starts acting like she's the one who got blindsided. You might notice she starts sending mixed messages. One minute she's ignoring you, the next she's hinting that she felt used or played. It's emotional bait. She's hoping you'll bite, feel bad, and open the door again just to defend yourself. The moment you do, she gets back into the position of power because now you're explaining yourself to her again. That's all she needs to feel like you still care. But here's where most men mess up. They try to clarify things, they respond to her victim story with explanations, apologies, or attempts to fix the narrative. That's the trap. That's what she wants. Once she draws you into an emotional conversation, even if it's just to clear the air, she wins. Why? Because it means you're still emotionally invested. And to her, investment equals interest. A woman who plays the victim is often trying to erase her own guilt. If she ignored you, disrespected you, took you for granted, or made you feel unimportant, then your disinterest exposes her behavior. But if she can flip the script and make you look like the heartless one, she doesn't have to face her own reflection. That's why she'll exaggerate details, twist the timeline, or even cry to mutual friends about how you just disappeared. It's not about facts, it's about emotion. It's about who can hold the moral high ground. What separates strong men from emotional puppets is the ability to let her play that role without reacting. You don't need to defend your actions when your silence already told the truth. If you're done, be done. If your interest is gone, don't let her rewrite the story to make you feel responsible for her disappointment. Because at the end of the day, she's not broken. She's bothered. She's not hurt. She's humbled. And her playing the victim is just her final attempt to make you feel something again, because your indifference is now the loudest thing in the room. Sign number 5. She starts comparing herself. When a woman realizes that you've truly lost interest and her attempts to win you back through seduction, attitude, or guilt fail, the next stage creeps in quietly. Comparison. This is when her confidence begins to shake. Not because you insulted her, but because you didn't need her. You didn't fight for her. You didn't beg, explain, or try to fix things. You just detached. And that silence forces her into a mental war zone. Now she starts comparing herself to other women you might be paying attention to, or even just imagining the type of woman you could be dealing with. She starts asking herself questions she never thought she would. Who has his attention now? Is she prettier than me? Does she treat him better? Was I not enough? Understand something very clearly. This moment has nothing to do with who you're actually involved with. It's not about reality. It's about how you've removed your emotional investment from her and placed it somewhere else. Even if you're not dating anyone new, your indifference makes her believe that someone else must be in the picture. That's how deep the comparison game cuts. She assumes you moved on, and that assumption alone is enough to throw her confidence into chaos. This comparison doesn't stay internal either. She might start dressing differently, posting more provocative pictures, going out more often, or trying to look like she's living a better life than she did with you. That's not self-growth. That's competition. She's not evolving. She's reacting. She wants you to notice her again. She wants to be the woman that still stops you in your tracks. And if she feels like she's losing her place in your world, she'll attempt to win by outshining the ghost of whoever you might be entertaining now. But here's what's dangerous about this phase for a man who doesn't understand what's happening. If you fall for the show, if you start giving her attention again, if you respond to the upgraded looks or the carefully crafted Instagram stories, she'll take that as a sign that you were just waiting to be impressed. You'll confirm her value was still above the others. And just like that, the power shifts again. A woman comparing herself to others isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's in how she subtly asks questions about your life now. Sometimes it's in how she tries to find out who's liking your posts, who you're with, or who's in your circle. It's not curiosity, it's fear. She doesn't want to believe she was replaceable, and your lack of interest has already whispered that she might be. This is the stage where her confidence becomes fragile. She won't admit it, but every part of her is trying to measure up to a new standard. one that you set by simply walking away. She's not just fighting for your attention anymore, she's fighting for the belief that she was the best you ever had. And the silence from you makes her question it more than any insult ever could. Sign number 6, she reaches out in disguise. By the time she realizes your interest is truly gone, she's already exhausted her obvious tactics. She's tried getting your attention, she's tried triggering your emotions, she's tried painting herself as the victim. Nothing worked? So now she switches strategy. She reaches out, but not in a way that makes her look vulnerable. She doesn't want to seem like she's chasing you. So instead, she disguises her approach. She sends messages that seem casual, indirect, or even accidental. But don't be fooled. Every word is calculated. She might message you about something irrelevant. Hey, do you remember the name of that restaurant we went to? Or just saw something that reminded me of you? Lowell? It sounds harmless on the surface, but it's bait. She's trying to see if there's still a doorway open. It's her way of knocking without looking desperate. If you respond warmly or quickly, it confirms her suspicion that she still holds space in your mind. That's all she wants at this point, proof that she's still in the game. In some cases, she won't even text you directly. She'll respond to a story you posted, like a photo or a meme, just to open the door. Maybe she sends a laughing emoji or says something neutral, like, "You're still the same loyal." That's not small talk, it's strategy. She wants to test the water without jumping in. If you don't respond, she feels the sting. If you do, even with just a little friendliness, she starts pulling the thread to see if the connection unravels back into something more. You need to understand what's behind this disguised communication. It's not love, it's not closure, it's control. She's trying to see if she still has a hold on your emotions, because even if she doesn't want you back romantically, your indifference unsettles her. It disrupts the image she had of herself as desirable, wanted, and hard to forget. And if she can make you respond, then in her mind, you haven't really moved on. She just needed the right excuse to pull you back in. This is also the point where she starts using mutual friends or shared environments to get close again. Maybe she shows up at a place she knows you'll be. Maybe she casually mentions you in a conversation you are never part of. These aren't coincidences, these are soft invasions. She wants to re-enter your awareness without making it obvious. But here's where most men fall into the trap. They confuse this behavior for a sign that she's finally serious. They think she reached out. Maybe she regrets everything. Maybe this is her changing. No, this isn't change. This is curiosity. This is her trying to measure her worth again, based on your reaction. When you no longer take the bait, when you don't react to her disguised attempts, you show a rare kind of strength. A woman knows that a man who can ignore subtle validation attempts is a man who's really over her. And that realization hits harder than any argument, any silence, or any rejection. Sign number 7. She tries to win in public. When a woman realizes that she has no access to your mind, no grip on your heart, and no space in your attention anymore, her next move is to try and reclaim her perceived value in the only place left, the public eye. She knows she can't reach you privately, so she tries to make a statement publicly. She wants you to see her winning, even if it's all a performance. This is when the show begins. Suddenly she's living her best life. Her social media becomes a stage. She posts photos, looking her absolute best. She's out at new places, with new people, doing things she never showed interest in before. There's loud laughter in her videos. There's that glow-up you never got to witness while you were together. She doesn't post these things for fun. She posts them for you. She wants you to think you've lost something amazing, something unforgettable, something now out of your reach. It's not about actual happiness, it's about presentation. She wants to trigger your curiosity. She wants to know if you're still watching. That's why she's extra active, extra loud, and extra attractive all of a sudden. She doesn't just want your attention, she wants your regret. Even worse, she might try to show she's replaced you. She'll post with a guy who looks just interested enough to spark a reaction. Maybe he's in the background. Maybe he's cropped halfway into the picture. Maybe it's just his hand on a table during dinner. You don't see his face, but you know what she's trying to say. She wants you to wonder who he is, if he's better than you, if she moved on that quickly. It's not real romance, it's retaliation. And in real life, she does the same thing. If you're in the same social circles, she'll make sure to be seen laughing loudly, being overly confident, surrounded by people. She wants to be the one that glows after the disconnection. She wants others to look at her and think she won, that she was the prize, that she's unbothered. This is the final attempt at emotional influence. If she couldn't make you feel guilty or miss her or curious through direct or disguised methods, she uses public validation. Because sometimes it's not even about pulling you back anymore. It's about saving face. She wants to be the woman who walked away strong, even if she cried every night before that selfie. She wants to be seen as upgraded, even if she feels broken behind the camera. But here's what most men don't understand. When a woman truly moves on, she goes silent. She doesn't perform. She doesn't need to. When she still has something to prove, that's when she's loudest. So, don't get distracted by the noise. Don't take the bait. Don't slide back in because of a photo. If she really had peace, you'd feel the silence, not the drama. When your disinterest is real, even her public games lose power. When a woman realizes you've truly lost interest, it shakes her in ways she doesn't always show. She tests, performs, and even pretends. But it's all rooted in the same truth. Your indifference has power. The moment you stop chasing, reacting, or needing her validation, the dynamic shifts. She may try to win you back, prove herself, or paint a new image, but none of it works if you stay grounded. The real lesson here, when you move on without noise, you force her to face the version of herself that no longer controls your emotions. That's when the real tables turn. I want to especially appreciate you for taking your time to watch till the end of this video. I hope the video helps you improve every aspect of your relationship with women. Until next time, see you.